You are listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, where it's all about responding with confidence to the legal, financial, and personal challenges created by a disability, unexpected illness, or aging in general. Join us weekly as elder law attorneys Barbara McGinnis and Chris Johnson, along with other members of the Johnson-McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning team, talk about the tools, techniques, strategies, and services that will make the elder care journey easier for everyone involved. Get ready, because aging starts now.
Welcome to Aging Starts Now, a podcast by Johnson-McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning. I'm Pati Bedwell, an elder care coordinator with the firm. Today we're talking about occupational therapy, how to keep doing the everyday activities that give our lives meaning, comfort, and independence. In this episode, we'll try to clear up some common misconceptions, explore who occupational therapy can help, and share some practical examples of how it supports aging in place, the caregivers, and overall quality of life. Whether you're an older adult, a family member, or a caregiver, this conversation will help you see independence in a whole new way. Joining me for today's discussion is occupational therapist Ebony Porter. Welcome, Ebony.
Thank you for having me, Pati.
Yes, it's our pleasure. And can you start us off, please, by telling us exactly what occupational therapy is and how does it differ from physical therapy?
Sure. So before I answer that, let me clear up a really common misconception. OTs do not help find people jobs. I hear this very, very often, and I know that when people hear the word occupation, they somewhat assume that's what we do. And I've literally called people to introduce myself, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm 83 years old. I'm retired. I don't need a job." So I have to, say no, and kind of give them the description of what occupational therapy is. So occupational therapy helps people in their everyday activities that give their life meaning. So we work in a variety of settings, but the common thread in all those settings is daily life. So whether it's in the home healthcare setting or in our community, our goal is helping people function as independently and as safely as possible. So while physical therapy often focuses on like strength, balance, and movement, occupational therapy focuses on how those abilities can translate into daily life. So PT may help someone walk better, while OT may help them transition or transfer safely into the shower, or improve their ability to get themselves dressed or cook, and to live independently as possible at home.
Well, my next question was going to be why you thought the two therapies are so misunderstood, but you kind of explained that. At least for me, it gave me a better understanding.
And it's somewhat, I know it's a little tricky for some because when they hear therapy, a lot of people relate that to physical therapy versus occupational therapy. And, sometimes it is overlooked because the struggles that we address as occupational therapists are usually the quiet ones. Mm-hmm. So it's the ones that people tend to adapt to or their families step in. And it doesn't always look like it's something that needs therapy until it becomes overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of some of the reasons on why it's a little overlooked compared to physical therapy.
But it sounds like the two therapies, though, work together. I mean, it sounds like you can benefit from having both therapies, physical and occupational, to get over an incident or to help you become, have your maximum abilities.
Definitely. Because usually whenever we do get a referral, it's usually OT and PT. So just like I mentioned before, as far as, yes, PT comes in and works on the strengthening, the balance, the overall movement. And then OT, we tend to focus on the functional tasks so they can, dress themselves, shower themselves if they want to get back to light housekeeping, or even if their goal is to return back to work. So yes, definitely the two are definitely important.
What are some signs that someone may benefit from occupational therapy? And often, I don't know that we often realize what signs to look for.
Right. I would say when daily tasks take more energy and time. So some people think, oh, it's fine, I'm able to get myself dressed. But they're noticing over time that, let's just say a few months ago, it took 10 minutes, but now they're getting ready for a doctor's appointment, and it seems like now it's taking close to an hour. So that could kind of be like an indication that, occupational therapy can be beneficial. If someone's starting to have difficulty with bathing themselves, dressing, if they've had increased falls or near falls. A lot of people don't count the near falls. So to me, that is just as important. And also, if there's some concerns with memory and safety. And another big indicator that a lot of people don't think about is caregiver stress. If everyday activities feel harder or less safer than they used to, then OT could definitely be helpful.
No, that's good thought. Can occupational therapy, there's just some questions I have on specific things that occupation or specific illnesses, I guess, or conditions. Can they help people with dementia and memory loss? Is there anything that occupational therapy can do to help in those areas?
Yes, definitely. We support, of course, the clients as well as like the family members. And what we do is focus on routines. We focus on simplifying tasks because sometimes things that, certain tasks seem overwhelming. So we want to help to simplify that. We're looking at the safety, and we also look at maintaining independence as long as possible. So like, for example, let's just say that someone is having a cognitive decline and getting dressed seems overwhelming. So what we'll do is kind of break down that task so it won't seem as overwhelming to simple steps, or we'll set up the environment so the next step seems more clear and familiar to the client. And we also support caregivers because dementia does not just affect the individual, it affects the families and everyone that's involved. So providing them with different educational tools as well as additional resources that may be available in the community.
Now, I did have someone ask me to ask you, what can occupational therapy do, or is there anything occupational therapy can do to help with incontinence?
Oh, yes. So I've had clients before that, let's just say it's a couple, and just saying maybe it's the husband that's experienced the incontinence. What I've set up is kind of like a schedule, like every hour they're getting up. So we set timers in cell phones. We actually used actual real timer, what people use to bake, to remind a person to get up every hour. Number one is good, of course, for the bladder, and you have less accidents. Number two is good for movement, period. Because some people tend to, like if there's not reminders or things going on, next thing you know, they've been sitting in a chair 4 hours and they may have had several accidents. So that has been, I would say, the most, positive thing as far as helping out with incontinence. If it's something maybe in the middle of the night, they're experiencing that more. Sometimes we may recommend, because maybe they're fearful of walking to the bathroom. So sometimes we may recommend a bedside commode where they can only, if they prefer just to use it at night, so they can get up more frequently there, or if it's a male, that they can use a urinal. So that has helped reduce some accidents as well.
Well, that kind of goes right into the next question I had. I was going to ask you if you could share some examples of some home modifications or maybe adaptive tools or equipment, kind of like the bedside commode that can help people stay safe at home.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so there's tons of things that are out there, which is great. So it can be grab bars, setting that up close to the toilets to aid with people with toilet transfers, as well as you can put them in showers. And let me tell you, they have helped tremendously reduce fall risk. Because if you think about with showers, you have to, in the equation, you're thinking about water, you're thinking about soaps, you're thinking about shampoos, which can be very, slippery. So having those grab bars have been, is a small change that can have a huge benefit.
Sure.
Also, we recommended like improved lighting. A lot of people do not know how important that is, especially if you're getting up in the middle of the night, because a lot of falls, unfortunately, do happen in the middle of the night. So sometimes we recommend motion sensor lighting. So instead of a person trying to fumble around to turn on a light switch, then it'll be motion activated. Let's see, we have shower chairs for people who may become tired with standing, or it's just safer for them to wash their hair in a seated position. And then what I see mostly, a lot of people have tub shower combinations. So that's where you have to step over the tub wall. So if they're not able to do the big renovation of a walk-in shower, then the other option is a tub transfer bench. So this has been very helpful because that prevents the client from stepping over. They can sit down and slide in. So that's definitely a safe alternative. So there's tons of different DME and assisted devices that are out there that can help people age safely in their home.
And one comment to add on that, I've been told by several people. I know people have a tendency to use those grab bars with the suction on
Oh
them.
gosh. Mm-hmm.
And I've been told that therapists just really are opposed to those. So it is important. I guess what I'm getting at, it really is important that if people are having some modifications like that done, that they do get those done by a certified professional, someone that actually knows what they're doing and is not going to put suction cups up for you.
Totally agree. And Patty, you would be surprised how many suction grab bars. Actually, I've seen even last week. So I will say there are some clients that says, depending on the material of what's on the wall for the shower, that they'll say that was like the most cost effective option. But then that's when we kind of have that discussion as far as, we're trying to prevent hospitalization, fractures. So, it definitely pays for itself. And then if they are just gun ho on the suction grab bars, my advice is to test them out before you actually do the transfer.
Mm.
Give it like a little tug, because a lot of times they find out when they give it a tug, it may slip.
Right.
So,
Right. And you don't want to find that out when you're when you're getting in or out of the tub.
exactly. Yes.
Mm. So that explains pretty well how you can help reduce fall risks and improve safety, at least in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's other things that you can do in the rest of the house.
Oh, yes, definitely. So usually we come in, and then also just a point to make as well that a lot of OTs now are certified aging in place specialists. So they come into the home and do home safety assessments. So they're looking at your kitchen, they're looking at your bedrooms, your bathrooms. So even providing little helpful hints of making sure that your most used items in the kitchen is on the counter or the first shelf versus keeping them up high or keeping them really, really low. Because when people reach really high, sometimes that throws them off balance. So yes, we take rooms, one room at a time and provide that, education, recommendations. And, like I mentioned before, if there's any assistive device or DME equipment that we think that can help reduce the fall risk, we'll definitely recommend that as well.
You touched on this a little, but if you could expand, could you tell us how occupational therapists support caregivers and help reduce their stress?
Oh, yes, definitely. So as the famous saying is, you can't pour from an empty cup. Caregivers they often carry a lot and they put themselves last. Like I'm a caregiver and I can definitely somewhat vouch to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we as OTs, we support the caregivers by teaching safer ways to assist, simplifying routines, and helping them feel more confident. So supporting the caregiver to us is just as important as supporting the individual. So whether that's teaching proper body mechanics, because what if a caregiver is, lifting with their back and they become injured? Now they're unable to assist the patient. So we want to make sure that we look at everything, the different perspectives as a caregiver as well as from the patient aspect.
Oh, so that's great. So you'll go in and you'll work with that caregiver
Oh,
as
definitely.
well.
Yes, definitely. And especially because we want to make sure with therapy, we can't stay in forever.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure when we discharge that everything is carrying over, that you're maintaining the gains that they've had with therapy. And our goal is, I tell my patients, like, I want to see you, if possible, like in Walmart, Home Depot, out in the community versus a rehospitalization and you see me again for home health.
Mm-hmm.
I love my patients, but I prefer to see them out in the community after we discharge.
Mm. Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us just a little bit about, I guess you need a doctor's referral to start
Yes.
therapy?
Yes, pretty much. Usually we get them from, of course, the primary care physician. And it can be, I would say the majority of the time, it may be a hospitalization. And then when they're getting ready to discharge, they'll refer to either home health, nursing, OT, and PT, or sometimes a lot of our clients may transition from the hospital to a rehab facility. And then after that, they refer to home health because they want to ensure that the transition is safe. Because if you think about it, hospital and rehab facility is more of a controlled environment. So after
Mm-hmm.
that, you're in your home environment and everything is not controlled. Even the surfaces and transferring out of the car is different than when you practice transfers at the rehab facility. So just want to make sure that everyone is transitioning safe. And then at that time, we love it as home health therapists because we're actually in the real environment. We don't have to simulate or guess. We know exactly by observation what are the struggles and what are the challenges, so we can address them appropriately.
And I believe occupational therapy is covered by Medicare and insurance, correct?
Yes, it's typically covered by Medicare, but I always recommend for families to contact their insurance company, just to make sure, that everything is covered and to be aware of their benefits.
So if a family has exhausted their insurance, are they able to continue the service and pay privately for that?
They do have private occupational therapists and PT that's, fee for service kind of set up. So that is also an option because usually with and insurances, there's a variety of different insurance plans
Mm-hmm.
and benefits, but usually we stay in while it's medically necessary. So whenever someone reaches their max potential or they have met all their goals, that's when we prep for discharge. And if clients want additional services, then they can pay privately.
Okay. All right. Well, we're coming up on the end of our time. So my last question, um, what would you want our listeners to be the takeaway from your discussion on occupational therapy and independence?
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's one thing I want people to know, it's that you don't have to wait until things fall apart to get help. A lot of people think that it has to be a major event that has to take place, but being proactive. can definitely be beneficial. So just remember that OT, our goal is to help to keep you safe and independent and confident. And it's not just for the clients, it's for the caregivers as well. So don't have to wait till things fall apart to give us a call.
Oh, Ebony, thank you so much. I do appreciate everything that you've shared with us. I have learned a bit today.
Thank you, Patty, for having me.
You're very welcome. So today we talked about how occupational therapy goes far beyond recovering after illness or injury. It's about helping people live safely, independently, and with dignity in their own homes. If there's one thing we hope you remember, it's that independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about having the right tools, strategies, and support to live life on your own terms. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it with someone you love. Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning is a life care planning law firm helping families navigate the financial complexities and healthcare questions that can arise with aging. Please join us next week for another episode of Aging Starts Now.
Thank you for listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast. For more information about today's show, visit tn-elderlaw.com, click on the Free Resources tab, and then click on Aging Starts Now. You'll find the show notes there. And while you're at it, why not check out all the free resources available at tn-elderlaw.com? Document downloads, the Johnson McGinnis blog, educational videos, informative articles, helpful links, a TV show, and more. It's all there, free for the taking. If you enjoy listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, please subscribe, rate the show, or leave us a review. It's easy to do on whatever app you use to listen. We would love your feedback on the show. Aging Starts Now. We'll be back next week with more candid discussions about the challenges created by aging, disability, and unexpected illness.